This is the Bunny Slippers Are Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show. And now, a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the job search alternative to expensive outplacement. For more information, go to bunnyslippersareevil.com. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you and make your resume available 24/7 and get a free professional email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com, and to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you are thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long, complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies, person-tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private lesson with Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto, the world is your oyster, be the pearl.
Today is Saturday, October 29th, 2016, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website, bunnyslippersareevil.com. There you'll also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you're listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. Al, are you there?
I am here. How are you, Tyrone?
I apologize. I'm fine, thank you. I've been trying to get hit the button for like 4 or 5 minutes, and I saw you were there. And, yeah, I was freaking out on this end, but thank you very much for being on. I appreciate it. Everybody, I want to introduce to this week's special guest is Al Smith. He's president of and managing partner of Transition Sherpa LLC. Al, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. This is a wonderful day to talk about job search.
It definitely is. Now, first I have to caveat, Al has a book called Get Hired. Or, I'm sorry, the actual name is Hired, Path to Employment in the Social Media Era, right?
Correct. And I'm co-author with Jeff Sheehan, and because my name is Al Smith, I had to give my whole name in order to differentiate myself from a famous politician named Al Smith. So my name on the book is Alfred M. Smith.
Okay. Well, I also have to admit that one of the reasons I like your book and I like you as an author is because you quoted me in your book.
I did indeed. And thank you for contributing.
I humbly appreciate that, and I am humble. So, okay, enough of this mutual
but there was a reason why.
Oh, okay.
And there was a reason why I was assigned to listen to one of your talks and then critique it years ago. And I was so impressed with the whole bunny slippers idea that if you're wearing bunny slippers at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not serious about getting a job. I thought it was so impressive, and I have really loved it ever since.
And that was honestly, it's funny because I remember our conversations about it too, and and it was years ago. It's like, wow, time flies. But I do remember those conversations, and again, I thank you and I appreciate it. That filled me with joy. And what I need to do is the next time I see you, I need to get an autographed copy of the book. And I apologize that I haven't done it yet. But anyway, I saw you last week. Let's throw a little plug in for the Roswell United Methodist Church and their job search meeting. You've been a contributor there for many years.
Correct. Yes, about 6 years.
And I recently started getting back into that into going up there and doing some volunteering. It's for people who are in transition. It is a great place. There's, we're lucky here in Atlanta, as you well know. We have our job networking community is very strong. So, but anyway,
it's actually the largest in the country.
Excuse me. I believe it. So I say we are just truly blessed and honored to have that. So let's get to this week's topic. And we want to talk about get found, get interviewed, and get hired on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I promise not to give you one of those lectures that gets in the microbiology of LinkedIn that'll put you to sleep. The stuff bores me to tears. And I just want job seekers to know what they need to do in order to get found. Wouldn't it be great instead of apply, right. Recruiters would actually find you and call you. And it can be done. It's done all the time. But you have to understand how recruiters think, how they work, and then use what they use to their advantage to your advantage. I mean, we think about job search. All of us do. I know I did, certainly. As soon as you lose your job, your first step is you update your resume. You post it on all the job boards. You look up jobs that are perfect for you. You click submit along with everybody else in the world who's looking for the same job. And you sit and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and nothing happens. At one point during the recession, there were three people for every job. And it's the average time in transition in America is over 9 months, 40.4 weeks, which is crazy. And
I agree.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with that, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The most amazing set of statistics I found when I was doing research for my book was something from a group called Millennial Branding, and they did a survey of all three generations, millennials, Gen Xers, and baby boomers. And nationally, we're spending over 90% of our time looking for jobs online. And about 90%, 80 to 90%, no matter what generation you're in, on job boards. I mean, we can run ourselves ragged chasing down rabbit holes. And I know back when I was in transition, I'd work myself into a sweat. And my wife would come home and cheerfully say, "What have you been doing today?" And all I heard was, "What the hell have you been doing all day?" And I couldn't put my finger on anything. And the psychology of job search is something near and dear to me, because I know the way I treated my wife and loved ones when I was in the worst part of my job search pains was something no one should tolerate, much less somebody like my wife. But that's my cross to bear.
Yeah.
But when we talk about LinkedIn, I want people to know, and the way recruiters use their tools. They can use resumes and job boards, but according to a survey done by a group called JobVite, 93% of recruiters use LinkedIn as their primary search tool, and then they go to resumes after that. So you have to have a resume, but you have to have a search engine optimized, SEO optimized LinkedIn profile in order to attract recruiters, in order to get them there. When you think about Google, let's talk about Google, and you're Googling a product or a service or a company or anything. How many pages of results do you read? 1, 2, maybe 3, right? And recruiters are the same way. So companies spend gazillions of dollars to get their product or service or company or whatever towards page 1, position 1, because whatever is on page 1, in position 1, gets a full third of all search results. And you have to think of job search the same way you think of Googling something. So a recruiter is, quote unquote, Googling for you, Googling for people to fill a job that they have open. And as soon as they find enough people, they stop looking. So when they start a search, and I'll go back up a second. We apply for jobs, and we keep applying for jobs, but the job market can be segmented into two pie pieces. One is the posted jobs, and the jobs that we see online, company job boards, or the big job boards, Monster, Career Builder, Indeed, and Simply Hired. That only accounts for 15 to 18% of the total. So only 15 to 18%, whereas the hidden job market is 82 to 85%. And a lot of people in my workshops and even my coaching clients have asked me how that can be, and it's really kind of simple, because 97% of the companies in this country have fewer than 150 employees, and they don't have to comply with EEOC regulations. So when they would put a job position, an open position on a job board, they would get inundated with resumes. And I kind of laugh at the ZipRecruiter commercials where, it's so simple. I get all these, it's the same thing as any of the other job boards, because you still have to go through the resumes. Whereas a recruiter, and I use that term loosely, it's actually a talent acquisition manager, when they do a search, let's say they're going on LinkedIn, they'll click on Advanced. If you go to your homepage, you can click on Advanced, and it'll take you to where you can do a search criteria just like a recruiter would. The very first thing they do is type in the title that they're trying to fill, whatever it is. And in almost every case, the next thing they're going to do is click on current. So if you don't have that title currently, you're going to be excluded from the vast majority of searches. And that's one of the keys that most people don't understand, and so that you can be eminently qualified for the job that you want. Position yourself almost perfectly, and with that one little mistake, you're excluded from almost all job searches and never get a call. It's a stupid way to look for people, but it's the way that recruiters have to, because they're doing the job of what 2 and 3 people used to do in the past. I mean, you look at how we used to search for jobs. We would take out the Sunday newspaper, the classified section, grab a red pencil. For some reason, it was always red. Certain jobs that were perfect for us. Craft the cover letter, put a couple of stamps in an envelope, march down to the post office, and within 2 to 3 days, somebody with 2 eyes and a brain would actually read your resume and cover letter. And that doesn't happen today in almost all cases, because at least 60% and growing percent of the companies in America use some sort of applicant tracking system software, where when you send your resume in, it looks for keywords. And so together, keywords and the job title that you want next are the most important parts to get found in any job search, whether you are looking because you are currently in job transition, or that you want to improve your position with the company that you're at, or change jobs from the company that you're at to something else. Optimizing, knowing how recruiters find you or people like you, you can turn this around so that you're found over other people.
You know what? And I totally agree. It's funny. What are the recruiters called? The talent acquisition specialist?
It's talent acquisition managers. TAM.
I guess they don't like the term headhunter anymore, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess not. Yeah, every time I think of the term headhunter, I go back to the old movie Papillon. In the beginning, the French with the criminals. They just showed the guillotine and oh, my throat is hurting.
Well, you know, I tell you, it's funny. You talk about, you know, the thing I've noticed, even still with LinkedIn, I still run across people who don't know about it. And I think one of the things in schools, they're not teaching it. But when you said it was at 93% of recruiters and talent acquisition specialists,
they use LinkedIn.
I believe it.
Because, like you said, the old days of sending your resume, you remember we used to send our resume in the mail, and you made sure your resume, your cover letter, your business card, and your envelope was all on the exact same paper. Remember those days when we were agonizing over what color, making good solid paper. You remember that? It's like, gotta be good solid paper.
Lots of linen in it, and cotton in it.
Yes. And then you print it, you print it on a laser printer and everything. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I always joke the people who knew the difference between the good paper and the bad paper, they mattered. The people who didn't, they didn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Right? Oh, paper. But you talk about optimizing LinkedIn. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. There are a couple of steps, and the process isn't easy, but anybody can do this. And I mean, I do this professionally. I help people position themselves so they get to page one, certainly on the first page, and my goal is to get them to position one, but anywhere on the first or second page is fine, and I really push to get everybody, all my clients, on page one. So when I do a search or a recruiter does a search, they get found all the time, which my goal for my clients is for them to get at least 20 profile views every single week. And I'm sure most of your listeners are getting one or fewer views per day, fewer than 7 views per week. And that means that you're not getting found. And one of the rules of thumb on LinkedIn is that, one of the rules of on LinkedIn is that it takes on average 300, quote, good views, the anonymous views where you don't see the person.
Right.
It takes 300 good views, and if you do some math and you're only getting 1 view per day, that would take you over 9 months. And the average time in transition, again, is over 9 months. And, that's really a mean and not an average. And I have a joke about, that's a damn mean number. Boom, boom, it's a math joke. You have to mathematicians. So, and at 86, my mom is teaching math in New Orleans. But, okay, so
I know what you mean, though. I definitely know what you mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how do you get found? How do you position yourself? So what I want people to do is, and what I do is we want to find jobs anywhere in the country because we're looking for words, and my process is called Words to Work because you have to have the right words in the right quantity or else you're not going to get found. So we find jobs that are, quote, perfect for you, and since I hate word clouds, the average person would have to use a word cloud generator, but I use a different tool that I pay for, but it works similar. So you would create a word cloud, or I would create this spreadsheet of potential keywords, and we pick a bunch of them to populate your profile and your resume, by the way. But it goes a couple of steps further. So once you've populated or you've found your keywords, and of course the job title that you want next, job title or 2 that you want next if they're similar, now you have to search your competition to find out what got them to page 1, position 1. And chances are good they've out SEO'd you in some way, whether it's through the job title being used more often, because that's an exceptionally large part of the algorithm that moves you up towards page 1, position 1, or away from it. So you find out how these other people are using your keywords or their keywords, and you out SEO them. There's a story a few years ago. One of my first Words to Work clients was a supply chain director. So what do I know for supply chain directors? So I type in supply chain director in quotation marks, and I got 1,640 people in my network who have the title supply chain director. But my client, when he did the same thing, he got less than 250. So having a big network will help you. So I look him up, and I get a whole bunch of people, 1,640 of them. And then I took some of the clients' keywords, the ones that he told me were important, plugged them into the keyword section on LinkedIn, and it dropped from 1,640 to 22 people, which is exactly what a recruiter wants to do, because they can handle 22 people to call. They can't handle 1,600. So the funny part of the story is this same guy came up in a bunch of my searches, a guy from Ohio somewhere named Steve, and he contacted me. He said, "Why do you keep looking at my profile?" And I said, "Well, I have a client down here who's a supply chain director, and every time I do a search, you come up. So I want to steal, borrow ideas from you because I'm number one." So we connected, and that was kind of I think it was kind of a cute story. But the most important part of this process, after you find your keywords and after you have determined the quantities that you need to out SEO people, is to be certain that you have a current job, quote, current job with the job title you want next. Because again, when a recruiter does their search, almost always they're going to click on the option current. And the reason for that is, say in my background, I've been some sort of sales since I was 18. Kimberly Clark hired me when I was still in high school. And I've been from a field salesperson all the way to the executive level for a whole bunch of different companies. So with all the sales background I have, sales and marketing background I have, I would show up in a lot of those searches. But I wouldn't be looking for a sales job. I'd be looking for vice president of sales or director of sales. So they wouldn't want me in their search. They want somebody that's current and currently has that job title. So they click on current. And I know a lot of your listeners would be saying, "Well, I don't have that job title currently." Well, that's fine. And I don't want you to lie. Ask Brian Williams about lying. He had the greatest gig on television news, and he lied once, and he's on MSNBC now. So you can create the job title you want, and working for Al Smith, Inc., or You, Inc., and then you'll put that you're currently seeking this position, and you've repeated that title again, so that's another set of keywords. And you can tell people what you've been doing, what you bring to the table, what your value proposition is for their company, and they're going to realize that you don't have that job, and you're even stating that you don't currently have that job. But the whole point is to not get excluded when people look for people like you, and it'll help to move you up the chain, up to page one. And if you're on page one, you're golden. You're going to get more views, a lot more views. And this works for every level of, and almost every industry. If the industry is really tiny, it works less often. But the higher up you are, the easier it is to get there, and the smaller the chance is that you'll ever be able to get a job by applying, because by the time let's say an executive sees an ad for their job title, they already have the person picked out.
Yeah.
And hopefully, once you've gotten their attention, once you've got them to your LinkedIn profile, then you need to have something that differentiates you from everybody else. So I like to do things like create PowerPoints or slide shares or the video resume so that they can see you and hear you and so forth. But it can be done really easily. Of course, you don't want to share proprietary information, which could get you in trouble. But showing how what you've done in your past, or having a portfolio, you can do these. You can do videos yourself. If you have a computer and you can use it like a teleprompter and a camera and a clicker, you can actually read from the opposite side of your camera so that your eyes aren't moving. Or you can have a video done professionally, and there's a really good guy here locally Doug Lehman, who does those things. I recommend it if you want to use the service. Who, by the way, would be a good person to interview, Tyrone. So,
I was just thinking that. Yeah,
I've been rambling.
No. You're good. One thing I said on the show a long time ago: the best host is one who you bring somebody on for their knowledge and experience, and you shut up and let them talk about their knowledge and experience. So no, you're good. So I'm good. We got about 6 minutes left, so we still got good. And in about 3 minutes from now, I'm gonna stop and have you talk about what you're doing. But let's just finish this part for something you said. Very good. Because I've talked about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. And as you said, it's like the early days of the Internet. You remember 20-some years ago when people first started getting on the Internet and you see a web page? If you're a designer, if you saw a web page you liked, you could go and look at the actual code, and you could actually copy the page.
Yeah.
Just like SEO optimization in LinkedIn. You see who comes up on page one, and then look at how they've structured their profile. There's all kinds of little weird tips and tricks, but just look at that and try to recreate that style. Not, don't play dry.
And be careful.
But,
you have to be careful. There's somebody out there, I won't share her name, but for years she's been doing this keyword overloading thing, charging you a boatload of money, or in my opinion, a boatload of money, and then repeat the same terms over and over and over and over again.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And if you look up anybody who has done that, they're getting lots of views, but nobody will touch them because the recruiter thinks, hey, you're scamming us now, you're going to scam us later.
Exactly. We did that at a live presentation I did once. We pulled up somebody's we did a keyword search and pulled up the first guy. And we went and looked at, exactly what they done. They just repeated like 2 or 3 of their jobs was just the term repeated over and over and over and over. Yeah. And, it's one of those things where, you might find a hiring manager who says, oh, this is a smart guy. He's learned how to game the system. But I would think more than likely you'll find hiring managers that look at that and go, you know what? Yeah, I don't know if I like his ethics or her ethics. So,
exactly.
That's but there's very ethical ways people have developed to make sure that for certain keywords they show up at the top. I'll tell you what. Let's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's your thought?
Two keywords, two important keywords that everybody should include: looking and seeking should show up somewhere, and that includes people who are currently employed. I've done this kind of gingerly, use them in interesting ways for people who are currently employed, so that your company doesn't that you're looking. So they can be worded well. So anyway, we're going to your question.
No. Oh, I was just going to say we got about 3.5 minutes left, and I always give my guests the opportunity to talk about what else they're doing and where people can find them. So here's your commercial.
Well, for what it's worth, my little old book, Hired Paths to Employment in the Social Media Era, just so happens to be ranked for a whole year. It's been ranked number 1 in all 3 of the categories that it's allowed in. So it's the number 1 top rated by readers, people who've actually read the book, number 1 top rated in the resume category. It's number 1 top rated on Amazon in the job hunting category, and it's the number 1 top rated book in the careers category. And people said it reads kind of like a novel instead of one of those put you to sleep nonfiction books, and that's something that I'm very proud of, that Jeff Sheehan and I were able to create a book that read that way. I am a career counselor, career coach. That's the largest part of what I do for a living. I help people get to page 1, position 1. I'm a resume writer. I like to have resumes that are written that can get through to the applicant tracking system software, get through the black hole, and then ones that will wow a reader when you're sitting in front of them. And I use the hybrid resume style because of those 2 reasons. So contacting me, and anybody can contact me through My email address, which is, with a name like Al Smith, you have to have a crazy email address. It's amarshall, A-R-S-H-A-L-L, Smith, S-M-I-T-H, Alfred Marshall Smith, but it's amarshallsmith at gmail.com. My Skype address is alsmith1000 if you want to get in touch with me that way. My LinkedIn address, again, Al Smith, what do? You have to have something crazy. But it's branded. I want to brand myself as the hired person, so it's Al Smith Hired, all one word, A-L-S-M-I-T-H-H-I-R-E-D. That's my LinkedIn address. Skype, again, Twitter is the same thing, Al Smith Hired. And love to hear from people if they're interested, or you can give me a holler and pick up a book.
Okay, well, thank you. What I've done, I put all that information in the show notes. I'm going to upload this to YouTube as well and put it in notes there as well. And I will send you a link